Okay, so you guys really buried us this time.
Yeah?
The March 2025 flight lines from the Colorado Pilots Association.
Wow.
But we're going to try to make sense of it all for you.
Yeah, think of this as like a cheat sheet to the important stuff in there.
Right.
The things that you really got to know about.
Exactly.
We've got updates from the CPA itself. Big airspace changes you got to be aware of flying around here.
Okay.
The latest and greatest on electric airplanes and what that might mean for your flying in the future.
Cool.
Bunch of events coming up.
Right.
And even a little bit of Colorado aviation history.
Fun.
Yeah.
So as always, what we want to do is dive deep into this stuff and pull out those golden nuggets of info and insight for you.
Absolutely.
We want to save you time.
Right.
But at the same time, make sure that you're completely up to speed on everything.
Yeah, let's get into it.
All right, so starting with the Colorado Pilots Association itself.
Okay.
What are some of the things that they're focusing on right now?
Well, the first thing that caught my eye was they renamed the social committee to the activities committee. And Chris Kilker is the new chair.
Right.
Now, that might seem like a small change.
Yeah.
But it actually signals a broader approach, I think, to expand beyond just those typical social gatherings.
So looking to kind of broaden their reach a little bit.
Exactly.
Include some educational opportunities and maybe even social events that aren't specifically centered around flying.
Absolutely.
Okay, I like it.
And then there's this really interesting reprint of an article from the February 1988 Flight Lines.
Oh, wow.
About the creation of the CDOT division of Aeronautics.
Okay.
And it's fascinating to see all the doubt and the skepticism that surrounded that organization when it was first being formed.
You can almost hear it in those words.
Yeah.
You know, the concern about more bureaucracy, more costs.
Right.
But here's the thing. Fast forward to today.
Right.
And that division under the leadership of David Dulaine is widely considered a really vital supporter of general aviation here in Colorado.
Absolutely. And a key takeaway here is their funding model.
Okay.
6 cents of every gallon of avgas that you buy goes to them. And that money, plus the jet fuel taxes that they get from DIA, generates a significant chunk of change for GA airports.
So it really is substantial support for GA here in the state.
Over $11 million in grants that they handed out in 2024 to GA airports.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's not just lip service. They're putting their money where their mouth is.
Yeah, and it's not just about the money, is it?
No.
They're active in the Mountain AWS program.
Right.
Which is crucial for safety here in our challenging terrain. They support aviation education initiatives.
Yep.
And they're strong advocates for the transition to unleaded avgas.
Absolutely.
It really shows you what an effective state agency can do
Yeah.
when it's focused on serving the needs of the aviation community.
It really highlights this idea of collaboration between pilot organizations like the CPA and the state government and how powerful that can be. I mean, look at the effort to add the mountain pass waypoints to our charts. That was a collaboration between them. And it's a huge safety enhancement for any of us flying in the Rockies.
And speaking of collaboration, the CPA is teaming up with CDOT Division of Aeronautics for a couple of big events. The Women in Aviation International Conference in Denver coming up at the end of this month. And of course the big one, Oshkosh, in July. If you're going to be at either of those events, they're inviting you to stop by their booth and say hi.
That could be really good for you if you're passionate about flying here in Colorado. Especially if you're a mountain flyer. It'd be a great chance to connect with other enthusiasts and maybe even get more involved.
All right, so let's shift gears now.
Okay.
And talk about some pretty significant news.
Yeah.
That affects pilots operating in the Denver metro area. And these are the changes to the Class D airspace. Around Centennial Airport, CAPA. And Buckley Space Force Base, KBKF.
Gotcha.
These changes went into effect on February 20th.
Oh, okay.
So you got to be aware of these.
Yeah, this is big stuff.
Yeah.
And they did this for a couple of reasons.
Okay.
First, the previous Class D airspace at both of these airports wasn't always big enough to contain the aircraft maneuvering during circling approaches.
I see.
So you can imagine you're flying an instrument approach.
Yeah.
It's not the greatest of conditions. You're maneuvering close to the ground. And you might find yourself popping out of the Class D.
Right.
Unintentionally.
Not good.
No.
Yeah. So the new airspace is designed to fix that. It expands and reshapes the Class D around both airports.
Right.
It's not just a circle anymore.
Exactly.
It's more tailored to the actual traffic patterns.
The other thing was there was a narrow gap of Class E airspace that existed between the Class D of Kappa and KBKF, all the way up to 7,500 feet.
I see.
So you've got this little sliver of uncontrolled airspace between two really busy airports with high-performance aircraft going in and out.
Yeah, that sounds like an accident waiting to happen.
Right. Yeah. So closing that gap creates a continuous block of Class D.
Right.
From the surface up to 7,500 feet in that area.
Much safer.
Yeah.
For everybody.
Right. But it's not all completely straightforward.
Okay.
What's interesting is there is a remaining tunnel of Class E airspace above the southwest portion of the KBKF Class D.
Gotcha.
And that's specifically above 7,500 feet, where the floor of the Class B for Denver International Airport starts at 8,000.
So you've got the Class D for Buckley up to 7,500.
Yeah.
Then this thin layer.
Yeah, like a tunnel.
Yeah, of Class C up to 8,000.
Right.
And then you're into Class B.
You got it.
Okay.
Now, apparently this tunnel wasn't really intentionally designed.
Oh.
And the reason they haven't completely closed it off has to do with containing that circling approach traffic.
Okay.
Which tends to operate below 1,000 feet AGL.
Right.
Above ground level.
So the altitude above the terrain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Plus, extending the KBKF Class D further down could complicate things for ATC. When they're trying to issue visual clearances to aircraft approaching Centennial.
I see. So they had to balance a lot of different safety considerations and operational needs to come up with this configuration.
And a safety risk management panel actually looked at all of this and concluded that the overall risk is low.
Okay.
Maybe even lower than it was before.
That's good to hear.
But it's really important if you fly in this area to take a look at the new charts.
Absolutely.
Because some areas and even some VFR reporting points that used to be outside of the Class D are now inside of it.
Right. You do not want to bust that airspace.
No.
No.
And that Class C tunnel above Buckley, you know, they pretty much recommend just stay away from it if you can.
Yeah. Good advice.
But if you have to fly through there, call up ATC.
Right.
Get some advisories.
Be safe.
Exactly.
All right. Very good.
Let's talk about electric airplanes.
Okay. Everybody's talking about electric airplanes these days.
Yeah, it's a hot topic.
It is.
But Flight Lines is quick to point out the reality.
Okay.
Right now, only one electric fixed-wing airplane is actually certified, the Pipistrel Velis Electro, and its endurance is limited because of batteries, battery technology.
It's 50 minutes plus VFR reserves. You're not going to get very far on that.
No.
Wow.
And it really underscores the challenge. When you compare the energy density of today's best batteries to good old-fashioned avgas. You know, your Tesla car battery has about 150 watt-hours per kilogram. But avgas has 13,000 watt-hours per kilogram.
Wow.
That's a huge difference.
More than 80 times.
Yeah. But the article does a really good job of pointing out the advantages that electric motors have that help to close that gap.
Okay, so break it down for us.
All right, so first off, efficiency.
Okay.
Electric motors are incredibly efficient. They convert over 95% of that electrical energy into mechanical power.
Wow.
Whereas your internal combustion engine is only about 20% efficient.
Yeah.
So that's a big difference.
That's a huge difference.
Right. And then you've got weight.
Okay.
So a 200 horsepower electric motor weighs way less than a 200 horsepower, like Keating.
I'm assuming so.
Yeah. We're talking less than 50 pounds compared to 300 pounds. Yeah. So you can use that weight savings to put in more batteries.
Makes sense.
And then there's this really cool thing.
Okay.
Electric motors don't suffer from altitude degradation.
Oh, that's right.
So they're putting out full power.
Yeah.
Regardless of how high you fly.
Free turbocharging?
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So electric airplanes could potentially have really good climb rates. You could climb up to altitude quickly and then throttle back for more efficient cruise.
Just like a jet.
Exactly.
Very cool.
Now, you could also potentially have regenerative charging when you're descending.
Like an electric car.
Just like that.
Very cool.
And think about it on the ground. No more idling.
Right.
Quicker warm-up and run-up. And maybe even electric taxiing.
Yeah. They're already doing that on the airliners.
That's right.
With those wheel tug systems.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And multi-engine electric airplanes are actually more practical because the motors are smaller.
Right.
And they run cooler.
Makes sense.
But the real game changer here is going to be batteries.
Of course it is.
And specifically, they're talking about solid-state batteries, which promise much higher energy density.
Right.
Now, the article mentions that there are claims in China of 720 watt-hours per kilogram.
Wow.
Now, if that becomes reality, that could be a game changer.
So we're talking about like a 3 times increase in energy density.
Right.
That's huge.
Yeah, you could have an electric trainer that could fly for more than 2 hours.
Wow.
Imagine the Velis Electro.
Yeah.
With that kind of range.
Right. That would be a game changer.
It would revolutionize flight training.
Yeah.
And it would affect you as a pilot.
For sure.
Whether you're doing your initial training or maybe looking at buying an airplane down the road.
Of course.
But, there are still some hurdles.
Yeah. I was going to say, it sounds too good to be true.
Well,
so what's the catch?
We need charging infrastructure at airports.
Of course.
Like Tesla has built out their supercharger network for their cars.
Right.
We need that for airplanes.
That makes sense.
But the good news is CDOT is looking into funding that.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so that's encouraging.
Yeah, very cool.
And you might think that charging time is going to be a big problem.
Yeah.
But honestly, a 30-minute recharge is pretty standard for electric cars.
Okay.
And you could easily do that during your pre-flight.
Right. You're already spending time doing your pre-flight.
You got it.
Yeah, you can plug in your airplane while you're doing that.
Absolutely.
Okay. That makes sense.
Now, of course, we also have to look at the economics.
Yeah.
Battery cycle life.
All right.
Replacement costs.
Yeah. How many cycles are you going to get out of a battery before you have to replace it?
Exactly.
Yeah. And how much is that going to cost?
Right.
Yeah.
But the article makes a good point that operating costs for electric airplanes should be much lower.
Okay.
You've got cheaper electricity.
Right.
Way less maintenance.
Right.
And the reliability should be much higher.
That makes sense.
So they compare it to the money that you would normally set aside for an overhaul on a gas engine.
Right.
And they say that overall, electric flying should be cheaper.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And then there's this thing called the Mosaic Initiative, which is coming down the pike from the FAA.
Right.
And this aims to modernize the regulations for light sport aircraft.
Okay.
And they think that this could really benefit electric aviation.
How so?
Well, it would allow for heavier aircraft.
Okay.
And potentially even open the door for things like night flying and IFR operations in light sport aircraft.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So maybe someday we'll be flying IFR in an electric airplane.
I think that day is coming.
So what's the bottom line here for the listener?
Well, I don't think we're going to see electric airliners crossing the Atlantic anytime soon.
Right.
But the rapid advancement in battery technology, which is being driven in large part by the electric car market, is going to have huge implications for general aviation.
I agree.
And flight training is probably going to be the first to benefit.
Right.
And then personal transportation.
If we get that charging infrastructure in place.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it's an exciting time to be in aviation.
It is.
So let's switch gears again and talk about some really cool opportunities that are available right now.
Okay.
The CPA has a scholarship program.
They do.
They're offering 4 scholarships this year.
That's awesome.
And the deadline to apply is March 31st.
Okay, so coming up soon.
Yes, so listen up.
All right.
There are 2 $5,000 scholarships for aspiring pilots between the ages of 16 and 22 who are working on their private pilot's license.
That's great.
So that could be you or somebody you know.
Right.
It's a big financial boost.
Yeah, $5,000 is nothing to sneeze at.
No, it's not.
Especially when you're a young person trying to get into aviation.
And for female pilots who are looking to take their skills to the next level, maybe get some advanced ratings, there are 2 $5,000 Emily Howell Warner scholarships.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a great way to honor the legacy
Absolutely.
of a true pioneer in aviation.
The first female captain of a scheduled U.S. airline.
Yeah, so if you know any women pilots who are trying to get more ratings, tell them about these scholarships.
Okay.
All right, and then moving on from financial support to events, there's a Centennial Airport Runway 5K
What?
Yeah, on June 7th.
That's cool.
It's a community event that supports aviation scholarships.
Okay.
And it looks like it's going to be really fun.
So you're running on the runway?
Well, they say you're running on the taxiway and the runway.
That's crazy.
You're going to have some special appearances.
Like who?
The Denver Broncos mascot.
Okay.
And cheerleaders.
Wow.
The Denver police helicopter.
Anyway.
A historic DC-3.
Very cool.
And the South Metro Fire Rescue ARFF Strikers.
What are those?
I don't know, but it sounds cool.
Yeah, that sounds like a fun event.
It does.
So the CPA is also working on digitizing all the old flight lines issues.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Yeah. They've gotten a bunch of libraries of these documents, and they're trying to figure out the best way to make them accessible online and searchable.
What a great resource that would be.
I know.
Yeah.
So if you have any expertise in digital archiving or historical document management, give the CPA a shout.
Absolutely.
They can use your help.
Because this stuff is really cool.
Yeah.
It gives you a window into how aviation has evolved in our state.
Yeah.
And what the CPA has been up to over all these years.
It's a great resource for anyone interested in Colorado's flying heritage.
Absolutely.
So the Backcountry chairman also has an update for us.
Okay.
He encourages us to connect with backcountry pilot associations in our neighboring states.
Like who?
Utah, New Mexico, Arizona.
Gotcha.
He also recommends checking out the Colorado Backcountry Pilots Facebook page.
Oh, cool.
And perhaps most importantly, he highlights the vital role of AOPA Airport Support Network, ASN representatives, and encourages people to consider volunteering for that position.
That's a great way to give back to the community.
Right.
And help ensure the future of general aviation here in Colorado.
Absolutely. If you're passionate about your local airport, that's a great way to get involved.
Absolutely.
So for those of you who enjoy fly-in events, Flight Lines has a set of 10 fly-in commandments.
What are the commandments?
Yeah, so these are essentially tips for making these events successful and fun.
Gotcha.
For everybody.
All right.
So they cover things like registering early, offering to help out, being punctual, being courteous, patient, saying thank you, considering hosting an event yourself, and basically representing the CPA well.
So basically just being a good human.
Exactly.
The good advice.
Yeah.
It's common sense.
It is.
But it's important.
Especially when you're dealing with airplanes.
Yeah.
And a lot of people coming and going.
Absolutely.
All right. So let's get to the events.
Yeah. What do we got?
So first up
is
a tour of the Hayes Aviation Aircraft Paint Shop.
Oh, cool.
In Akron, Colorado. On April 26th.
Okay.
Free to register.
Awesome.
They're providing lunch.
Nice.
And they're even offering rides for non-pilots.
That's awesome.
So if you want to see how airplanes get painted, this is your chance.
That's a side of aviation that a lot of pilots don't get to see.
Exactly.
And what a great way to introduce people to flying.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Next up is a trip to Durango.
Cool.
From May 30th to June 1st.
Right.
So options for e-biking.
Okay.
Exploring the downtown. They've got a chuck wagon dinner planned.
Fun.
And a scenic drive-in gold mine tour up in Silverton.
Awesome.
So if you're looking for a fun weekend getaway, this is a great option.
Durango is beautiful.
It is a beautiful part of the state.
Yeah, and it's a good mix of activities there.
Yeah, for sure.
A little bit of everything.
A little bit of outdoor adventure. A little bit of history.
Yeah.
A little bit of culture.
I like it.
Then we got a trip to Hot Springs, South Dakota.
Okay.
From June 13th to 15th.
All right.
So they're going to hit Wind Cave National Park.
Okay.
The Pioneer Museum. The Mammoth Site.
Cool.
Moccasin Hot Springs.
Nice.
A fossil museum. And even the Badlands Traveler Aircraft Factory.
Very cool.
And of course, you're right near Mount Rushmore.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to do a little sightseeing flight.
Absolutely.
Wow. They really pack it in on that trip.
It's a history and nature lover's dream.
Yeah. It really is.
I like it.
And it shows you how you can use fly-ins to explore all kinds of different places.
Right. It's not just about going to the airport.
Exactly.
It's about exploring the area.
Right.
That's awesome.
Okay. And then wrapping things up.
Okay.
We've got a Colorado River rafting trip.
Right.
Based out of Kremling.
Okay.
June 21st and 22nd.
Cool.
And then a trip to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
Nice.
From June 25th to 27th.
Very cool.
Which includes a lake boat tour.
Okay.
A visit to the museum. and just exploring the town.
Sounds like a good time.
The CPA does a great job with these fly-ins.
They do.
They really do.
They got a little something for everybody.
Yeah.
And they go to some pretty cool places.
Yeah.
It's great.
And lastly,
okay,
if you want to stay up to date on all things CPA,
yeah,
you can find the minutes from their board meetings on their website.
All right.
And you can follow them on social media.
Of course.
For the latest updates and announcements.
That's the best way to stay in the loop.
It is.
Yeah.
So there you have it.
There it is.
We hope this deep dive has been helpful for you.
Yeah, we tried to break down
all that info.
all the key info.
From the flight lines.
Yeah, you should now have a good understanding of what's going on.
Of the latest from the CPA.
With the CPA.
Those big airspace changes.
Right.
Around Centennial and Buckley.
Yep.
The amazing potential of electric aviation.
Absolutely.
And all the cool events that are coming up.
Yeah.
So get out there.
Yeah.
Go flying.
Have some fun.
Connect with other pilots.
And here's a final thought for you.
Oh.
Given all of these things that we've talked about.
Yeah.
The airspace changes.
The electric airplane revolution.
Right.
The very active and engaged community within the CPA.
Yeah.
What do you see as the biggest opportunities?
Okay.
Or maybe even the biggest challenges facing general aviation.
Right here in Colorado.
In Colorado.
In the next few years.
Yeah. What are you thinking about?
That's a good one.
It's something to ponder.
Yeah.
So we definitely encourage you to check out the flight lines yourself.
For sure.
And if anything really piqued your interest, dive in deeper.
Absolutely.
And consider getting involved with the CPA.
Awesome organization.
They are.
Yeah.
So until next time, keep those skies clear and your landings smooth.